welcome to the third episode of the West Midlands People Podcast with myself, Ashley Wright, and my colleague, John Morris, both from West Recruitment Group. And today's guest I'm very excited about because I have a fellow Geordie on the show. We've got James Forrester. Hello, James.
Hi, you all right?
Yes, are you?
Very well, very well. Obviously, down in Birmingham, not in my beloved Newcastle, unfortunately, but it's I'll be there soon. Don't worry.
John and I are up here at the moment, and John's loving it. It's been a bit of a nut house up here in our office. I think he'll be looking forward to having a bit of peace and quiet next week. Had 3 dogs.
It's a good nut house, but.
Yeah, had 3 dogs in the office yesterday. I think that's more stressful than employing staff. So anyway, James, would you like to kick this off and introduce yourself and both of your businesses?
Yeah, certainly. So my name is James Forrester, Managing Director of Barris and Forrester Property Group, which is an estate lettings and property management company based here in Birmingham and Lichfield. And also I am the MD of Stripe Homes, the office that I am in today, which is a property development company developing student and residential accommodation up in Newcastle upon Tyne and down here in the Midlands itself. A little bit about me. I've been here now 11 years down in the West Midlands. Before that, I spent 12 years in Spain. I actually spent very little in Newcastle, even though I love it so much. But obviously, massive football fan, as you can probably tell. Look, property is my world. I do a lot of commenting for a lot of the national newspapers and radio stations. And I'm still right. I said prices wouldn't go down since Brexit, and they keep going up, and I'm still right. And Rightmove announced yesterday that they expect prices to increase by 4% next year as well. And I totally agree.
Excellent. On the football, we'll not talk about that after Newcastle's massive defeat last night. I'm
shocked. It was that my accountant's a Leeds supporter, and he texted me last night, and he was like, I'll not talk about the football in tomorrow's networking meeting. And I was like, what we're playing? I totally forgot. The stress of a house move. I totally forgot we were actually playing last night. So I feel
probably best that you missed it there.
No, well, at least I didn't lose any money because I didn't put my bets on, so that was all right.
That's not too bad then. So you do you go to any games?
I do, yeah. I have a box at St James's, so nice. I get to every home game. I would say I get to 95% of the games. From that, but look, St James's is a great place for entertainment. It's what a lot of our corporate guests like. We can do business Thursday, Friday, and relax on the Saturday and cement whatever we've agreed with lots of alcohol and hopefully great cheering a team that will be winning. But that bit doesn't always happen. But we still have a great time anyway.
So, in terms of your business, both businesses, do you have the same staff that work across both businesses, or do you have separate staff?
No, separate staff, apart from the marketing team. The marketing team are able to obviously go between the 2 different businesses. Now, one of them's just heard me. He's got his hands up in the air. I can see through the office. The rest of it is 2 separate teams ran as completely different businesses, altogether. So Stripe Homes will work with other estate agents and property companies because it's all about what we're building and what's right for the clients, where Barris and Forrester is very much attacking every other estate agent and property company out there to show that we don't want to be number one, because we always want to chase to be number one, if that makes sense. So, we don't mind if we upset people along the way, but it's about just doing things right for clients. And that's our motto. And if the clients are happy, then we're happy.
So, James, how long have you been in the property business for?
How old am I now? 40 years old this year. So I've been in property now 20 years.
And how did you get into it?
It's a funny story, actually. So I was actually going to play football when I was young at school. So I used to play for the under-16s at Bury. Thought I was going to make it. I obviously didn't, as you can tell. And then what happened was I didn't really have any exams. I wasn't concentrating because I was really concentrating on the football. Quickly had to go and get my maths and English. And then I got an opportunity to go to Spain. So I took it, obviously 1998, shipped off down to Liverpool Airport to get a flight. Worked for a timeshare company for a very small time, or limited time, I should say, but more in the back office, learning all the accounts and property management side of it, which was a great learning experience. At sort of 18 years old, I was really thrown into the deep end. And then a person I used to work for owns Peterborough United Football Club. He got a hold of me and never looked back, and pretty much taught me everything I needed to know about the property, sales, marketing, how to treat clients right. And that was it. Never looked back from there, really. As I said, I came back 11 years ago. Did work for some other companies, but I couldn't. He would say the same. Once you've worked for him, it's very difficult to work for somebody else. So, and I'm a bit too aggressive and my own thoughts. So I like just to go out and get it. And I listen to a lot of ideas, but I love them all, but I'll go with mine instead.
Probably the best way as well.
Sometimes, not always. Sometimes, but that money pays the bills. So if I make the mistake, it's all right.
You learn and you grow at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So how long have you been in business on yourself?
So Barris and Forrester are about to enter their 6th year very soon,
Okay.
and Stripes in its 3rd year of business. So, with Barris and Forrester, we manage around 300 properties down here in the West Midlands. We average roughly around about 2,500 sales on a yearly basis. So, very, very busy. And within Stripe itself, within 3 years, we already have a couple of developments on the go. So 118 units being built on the quayside, just next to the Fourth Banks Tower. So that ugly bit of land that every Geordie's hated, apart from if you tried to get free parking, that's all going now, and that's going to be a very luxury student accommodation. For that, we chose it because the world is changing. Student accommodation will be back from next year with a vengeance. And who doesn't love the bridges and the water, down at the River Tyne? And I think for students now, especially postgraduates and, people going on 2nd year to 7 years, they don't want to be right on top of the uni and the RVI at the moment. They'd rather be down by the water, got the quayside, can do all the keep fit, jogging up and down, obviously the promenade, but can still get up within the city centre within 10 minutes, which is perfect. Also got residential development being built in the city centre as well, right in the heart of it, luxury units. Obviously I know this is very much about the West Mids, but up in Newcastle, it's not seen a lot of new development like here in the West Midlands. The West Midlands here, especially Birmingham city centre where I am, it's awash with new developments. It's construction mad. Where in the city centre in Newcastle, it's very limited, and we haven't really seen anything for the last 10 years. So that will definitely change up there, which is why we're building up there. The name Stripe obviously came from the stripes from the football team. Shows you how football mad I am. But we're bringing Stripe down to the West Midlands now. And we've got a couple of good projects that are likely to come off for first-time buyers homes. So 2, 3 and 4 bed houses on nice developments.
You mentioned at the start of the show that you made a couple of kind of like presumptions on the house prices. So how has business been? Certainly throughout the lockdown period, if you want to call it that, during the pandemic. How's it been for you?
So we're one of the saviours, and it's hard because a lot of businesses have suffered. I've got a lot of friends in the hospitality industry, who own restaurants and everything. And, and obviously I love, I'm personally loves to go and have business meetings in restaurants and, and have a great time. And that's sort of been taken away and they've lost their livelihoods. But the property industry's done very well. If you're looking after your clients, your marketing's spot on, you're ahead of the game. A lot of people in the property industry were going, we're just starting to do video tours. We were doing them for a year before this. So we were very set up for, the pandemic that was coming into it, to be able to work from home and carry on, with business. The big change, what we saw very much, the construction industry didn't really change. It just shut down for that sort of 3 months and then reopened, and it's just carried on. What we have seen is the difference between sales and lettings. So Barris and Forrester was about 80% sales heavy against our lettings business at the time. And we saw that literally reverse during the pandemic. We went 80% lettings and 20% sales, and it was all about holding on to all the sales we had done pre-March effectively that hadn't completed, for them to obviously still complete once we were coming out of the lockdown in sort of May, when the property industry really opened up. But I make no doubt that we've had a fantastic year. It's been amazing for us. But yeah, it's one of them where we're doing very well. Our suppliers are doing well. Unfortunately, a lot of the local businesses we support haven't done that well. Unfortunately, we love to try and support them as much as possible as we can do. But 2020 has been great. Do I want it to be like that next year? Yes. but I want us to be able to go to restaurants and bars and, you know, go on holiday.
It would help.
Yeah, and back to normal, but still have a great year like we have done.
Be able to reap the benefits of having a good year.
Absolutely. Well, I've just bought a new house as well, so that's not too bad. So
I know when we initially spoke, James, I was telling you about my personal experience of dealing with letting agents moving down when I was moving from Newcastle to the West Midlands, because to put it bluntly, my experience was horrendous. And I guess kind of estate agency is similar to recruitment in a way, is that no one really likes us. And you kind of competing in markets that are very heavily saturated, and you have to do your bit to stand out from the competition, in order to get your brand out there and to really drive the business forward. So what advice do you have for businesses competing in the same sector as you to make themselves stand out from the competition? Because you're obviously doing a fantastic job. You've won various awards, which is great. I just wish that more businesses were like you. I would have had a better experience if I'd actually been introduced to you first.
You definitely would have had a better experience from what you've told me, that's for certain. It's it's a great question, and I think the difference is a lot of people ask, what's our recipe, what makes us different, and it's very cliche, but I say it's the team that we have around us. We put a lot into our staff, and we want their personalities to shine through. We have rules and guidance and everything that we have to do, but they have to buy into my vision, from that. And if they're not going to buy into our vision, then there's no point in working for the company. And it just reflects to the clients. And I always want all my team to feel they're part of the family rather than just working for a company. And that's exactly what we see. And that's what makes us very different, really. And I know it sounds strange, but it is the personalities that come through. It's great when we get, it's like you said, we're one of the hated professions within it. I don't understand why, because conveyancers are the bane of our lives. They seem to mess everything up and we take the blame for them. But this week's been amazing, getting all the gifts from clients and business colleagues and everything, really saying, just loved working with you this year, helping us or whatever it may be. And I think that's the difference, that, it's not just about the sale for us or getting the let. We care about the buyers, we care about the tenants. We're very big on local business. Earlier this year, our bit was we designed a coffee cup in Birmingham, and we picked 15 local coffee businesses in 5 different parts of the city to really help them and say, look, stock it, give them away for free. We'll fund it all, but people will want to be using reusable cups. This is how good my marketing team is, because they're listening in, and then I can actually show you the cup itself. That's basically what we do. And the businesses have loved it. We go in and we see it all. And then following on from that, because it's all coming to me now, look, we created, the bull sheets. Bull sheets, yeah. It's just come out, so a little play on the name. And most property companies bang on about themselves, that, we've won awards, we're number 2, 1, we do X, Y, Z. No one really cares. You're going to get the property sold, you're going to get it marketed correct, people will come to you. It's what else makes you different. And also, it's all about the local community. So this one was all about the jewellery quarter. We distributed over 5,000. Naturally, there's a bit of property news. Then we put all like the bars and the restaurants that we go to personally, and that we've put our own comments on there. We then pick out a local business. So this was the Pit Gym, for example. The headline was £30,000 lost, stabbed and muscling back to success, and that was the owner of the fitness gym. And we did a big write-up on him. And it's all about just giving back and trying to help that, that little bit more than just doing property sales. And these things alone, we've had local MPs, the mayor, MBEs, all having these cups going about telling us, great, just supporting the business and doing something completely different from that. And that's what we're about. It's not just about ourselves, it's about everyone else around us. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important, because we are finding now that times are changing and people don't really care how good you think you are. It's about how good you come across, and everyone has that CSR box that they need to tick now as well. But it seems like you're doing a fantastic job, and I am truly devastated that I didn't speak to you before I came down here, because honestly, John will tell you and even now the conversations that I have with my with my letting agent isn't great. But anyway, moving on. So you touched on your staff as well, and obviously you come across as a great leader, very inspiring. When I get sick of recruitment, I'll come and get a job, James. Why are people important to your business, and what value do you get from the staff that you employ?
Well, for me, it's you've got to recruit staff who are better than you in the roles that they're doing, because then otherwise you're sort of filling a gap for the sake of it, and you're not always going to get the best out of that particular member. So you want them to really, my rules are they've got to push forward, so I will recruit staff for positions that are needed. Then naturally people want that progression within a company. And rather than saying, well, regardless of us building the company up and then, a manager role becomes available or director role, and you think you should get it because you've been with the company 2 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be, create the role yourself. If you really want it, I'm not going to hold you back. You really go for it. And that's what I see from the staff who come on board. And, and it's, look, obviously you guys are in recruitment, as you'll know, you'll have people who are just quite happy to come in, do their job. That's it, go home. Absolutely fine with that as well. And I have roles that, that are filled for that. And then I have another side, probably more in the sales side of it more than anything else, where they're really go-getters, they want the world and everything. And I don't want to hold them back. I've got to keep them back a little bit, to sort of say, you can't just run off and, with an open checkbook and do whatever you want, but to really have that passion that they can show their creativity and what they need to do within the guidelines that we operate. And I think that's the big difference in the success to having good staff that want to stay. Our retention is actually quite little. We have had people who have started, they've gone within a week. I don't know if that's because they were just alcoholics or they couldn't turn up to work or they just didn't really care and they didn't get it. When we say we do a lot of videos, we probably push out 20 videos a week. So we're one of the big hitters of videos, and a lot of people don't want to do them. They'll say they will do, and as soon as it comes down to doing it, they don't want to do it. It's because they haven't bought into the company. So that's either my fault because they haven't, they haven't paid attention. I've not sold it enough to them. But the ones that do come on board, they really do well, and I look after them. I'm very flexible as a boss. I'm not a big lover of this, work from home, flexi time and stuff like that. I don't think you can get the best out of people. Yes, at the moment, you try and work from home as much as possible. But, look, if a job needs done on a Saturday and, you're not contract to work a Saturday, my staff will come in and get it done. And that's the sort of camaraderie that we've got to, if there's targets to hit or, there's a deadline on a particular project, like a new development. If a developer's come to us and give us 50 apartments to sell, we need to get everything launched by a particular date. We work all out. But then, we get all the lunches and the food and the drinks and everything and the support and everything just to help them and make sure they feel welcome. And I think that's the difference between employing somebody and actually really caring about an employee and making sure.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And I think that's important. And like going back to what you said about working from home, I'm exactly the same. John was off work a couple of days the other week and I was in my apartment and I was just pacing the corridors, just looking at the rooms, expecting to find someone because I hate being by myself. Yeah. And I think especially in tough industries like what you're working in, I think you need to be around people who can motivate you and who can spur you on, because we all have down days. And that's what I love about working with John. I mean, I've been a bit demotivated more recently, kind of coming down when things have been a bit hard, coming to an area where we don't know, and John sat there like Ash, come on, crack on, and it helps. And I think when you're by yourself, you can't really do that. But if you've got a team that are all on board with that, then that's half the battle.
No, absolutely. And I think in our industry, it's a bit different as well, because I wasn't a big believer of mental health. I put my hands up to that. I always thought you just get on with it and get it done. And this year's took its toll on everybody, myself included. And I needed really to press a reset button rather than the self-destruct one, because I've worked all the way through, this pandemic to make sure that we still have a company at the end of it. And then luckily we've done very well from it. But also we're going to people's homes and, we're going to people's homes that they've split up because in the lockdown, they've just argued too much. On the flip side, we've seen the need to upgrade. They want bigger homes so they can get on, which is great. But then we've also seen deaths, we're selling the estates, and sort of we've become agony uncle and aunties dealing, listening to other people as well, which is the right thing with there, because then they need someone, to sort of share a bit of burden to it. And all my guys and girls will do this from that. But then it also can take the toll on them when they come back away from that. And as the owner, leader, or whatever you want to call it, you're the one who's got to pick them up as well to sort of push it forward. So we've sort of, we've had that flip this year of absolutely amazing business, great employees. On the flip side, it's really took a hold of a lot of people. We've had great stories and bad stories, but next year it's all about gearing up for that now and pushing forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So how do you develop your staff then, or have you got any key sort of tips for developing staff that you've seen work?
Well, it used to be taking them to the pub on a Friday night and get them absolutely hammered, but obviously I can't do that now. That usually develops them quite well and get some hairs on the chest to push forward. But no, the development, we're very not man management, because I can't say that now, but I just have, but day-to-day management style of how we operate, because we're in an industry where things are changing rapidly and quick, and every question's different. There's nothing really the same across that. And it's knowledge. I'm a big believer that knowledge is power. You can't just go out and try and sell a property, and you've got to get passionate about it. But you don't want to go in and open the door and go, well, here's the living room, here's the kitchen, say, well, I can see that. I want to know what the sizes are and all the little bits that are, that are included. Is the wine coolers and, spot things out that's special, or if there's not, and you're thinking that, look, this house might need a bit more work done to it, point the things out that could be done. So, if you put some spotlights here, this would look amazing, and and all these little things that will really then sell the property. Because at the end of it, that's our job when we're selling a property, is to get it marketed and get it sold. That's it. That is the real end of the job. And you've got to come out of it. And I think what's happened is, with a development in estate agents, it's not really happened that much. It's been get it sold quick. Fees have dropped. I'm sure it's in the recruitment agency as well. There's so many new companies, different companies come in, and the big thing is drop the prices. Everyone will come to us, and that's it. And in the property world, it's the same. We have a lot of agents who have just dropped their fees dramatically. And I know people that have sold their homes £20,000 less than what they should have to save a couple of grand. And as part of our development on our team is to make sure that they can really, with their knowledge, put that across to the clients, explain why you're paying, our fee. We're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but what we do is we fight for the clients on both sides, the buyer and the seller, to make sure that the right price is set from day one, and the owner is getting the right price for their property as well. And that could be the asking price, it could be over asking price, it might be slightly less depending on the market conditions. But if you've got the right knowledge and your information, then that's exactly why our clients want to use us more and more.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what you said earlier, James, about the listening to what the customer wants, and just you start going that extra mile, and rather it being a transactional approach, be like in our business, be a consultative approach. And we get it in our industry, where we'll come up against agencies of a cheaper nature, if you want to call it that. And like yourselves, we're not the most expensive, we're not the cheapest, but what we'll give is that we'll try and get the best deal for everyone. And if it's not a great deal, then we walk away, like the customer could as well. And you've got to be quite honest with yourself, haven't you, about what you're representing, and whether that be in your case the property or the customer. So I think it resonates in our industry as well. You've got to have that kind of like consultative, caring, listening approach, rather than that, like you said, there's the kitchen, there's the dining room. Yeah.
There's the bathroom with the toilet seat up. But these are things that happen, because we've all done viewings, and everything. I'm sure, when Ashley would have been coming down trying to fix up viewings, they'd be cancelled last minute, and the agent turns up late. And it's the little things that really matter, like turning up early, getting in the property, putting the lights on, especially when it's dark at the moment as well. Carrying the spare light bulbs with you. So if there is any out, just get them in to change it. You're doing a viewing for someone who potentially wants to move into that property, regardless of that's for lettings or for sales. do the right thing for your client who you're representing. And I think the difference is people go, well, you're represented by the landlord or the seller because that's who's paying you. Well, they are paying us, but we're acting for the seller and the tenant, or the seller and the buyer, or the landlord and the tenant, because without each other, that transaction won't happen anyway. So you've got to do the right thing for both people.
I think, honestly, you've opened my eyes there. You were talking about carrying spare light bulbs. That's not something that I ever expected people would do. And it's refreshing to hear that you drill that into your stuff, because you're absolutely right. It's your job to sell that home. And I think, honestly, I'm just speechless. I'm just wishing I'd spoken to you, James, and I'm going to have to move on from that.
It's all right. It's but it is little things like that. And I think that's the difference these days, where, obviously people coming through typically in the agency are quite young, on that side. So you can get the bit that people are too young to know what they should be doing. We do see that within the property industry. And look, and there is element if people aren't learning, then fair enough. But I learn every day, so I'm never going to know everything within the property industry. It's changing, all the time. But it's the little things that I'll drill into my staff that, sometimes, when I was growing up in my working world, you put your own hand in your pocket to get your job done sometimes. And I think we've entered a world this day where if the employer doesn't provide it there and then, everyone will just sit back and go, well, you didn't give me £4 to buy a bulb, so I didn't do it. And it's like, well, you've just lost yourself a sale and your commission and X, Y, Z. And the ones who really want it are the ones who are outside the box. They're making sure that they've got their own pack, or like we call it, a little maintenance pack, for example, when they're going out, and they just want to make sure they're doing the right thing. And that's what it comes down to is actually feeling if that was your property, what would you want to get done? Just get it done. Don't wait for someone to give you an okay or an answer. Just get the job done, so then the client's happy. And then obviously then you can have a debrief afterwards and how you improve and what's well recognised and what needs to change.
What advice do you have for people who are potentially wanting to get into property as a career choice? So this could be for younger people who maybe are just leaving uni or about to leave school, for anyone who's potentially thinking of it or hasn't considered it as a career option. What advice do you have to those people?
Don't. No, I'm just. That'll get people's attention. Look, it's a great career, but it's one of them where, I don't mind my competitors, altogether. And I think the best advert I've ever seen in the property industry, apart from our own, was actually Hunters. And what it was is I remember it correctly, it'll be on YouTube if people want to search it. And it was like, my dad's a doctor, my mum's a scientist, or whatever, and all that lot. And it was, the kid got up, and obviously everyone's looking at me. He was very nervous. And he went, I just want to be like my dad, who's an estate agent. And it was just silence, about it. But it was really touching to actually see that. And I thought, we don't do a lot with the youth coming into property, because typically they'll go into very junior roles, and when I say junior roles, sometimes that can be an insult, because people will come in just to make the coffee and the tea, and they're supposed to be learning about property altogether, and it's not the right way. I think young people have got to decide what they want if they're coming into the property industry, and which section they want to go into. They want to be in sales. If they want to be in sales, get into an estate and letting agent straight away. But if they want to do surveying, for example, they're better off obviously either staying at university and doing a degree, or there is other options if you haven't got a degree to go down and study as well. And then you've got to find the right type of firm. And you've also got to find that they've got the right time for you to give you that time. What you don't want to do is just join a firm, be put on a corporate 2-week program, for example, thrown into a branch, and then you're sort of left alone a little bit, and you sort of fall out of love quite quick, within the industry. And that's my advice is, ring around, go into them, go and test them, go into them and say you're thinking of going into the property industry, and see who wants to sit down and talk to you. If them people in that branch, regardless if that's the, and I hate the names that we use, the junior sales negotiator, sales, the senior, I think we make them up for the sake of it. But if no one who works in that particular company can sit down and give you 10, 15 minutes, a cup of coffee, and just have a chat with you, then, then it shows that company's not for you. And you want to go around the different ones to find out. And the one who impresses you, then that's the one you want to go for. But you've then got to impress them to why they should employ you. They might not even be advertising for a role, but if you impress them, then that's what you need. So, for example, our recruitment process is we'll put adverts out, like normal. We use recruitment companies and everything to get people. But what we love is when people come to us direct when we're not even advertising. So we've opened up a new branch over in Fradley near Lichfield, and we've had people emailing us, but not just going, are you looking for people to work? They're actually going, we've noticed here's your new office. We noticed that this is where you're up to and you refit. When are you looking at opening? We'd love to come and do this. Let me tell you all about us. Let me tell you all about Fradley. The more clever ones have gone further because they realise that we always ask for a video of them as part of our recruitment process. And some of them have actually already done the videos and sent them to us to get our attention. And of course, then we want to meet them. If they're that good, we want to see them and we want to get a hold of them before anybody else. And that's the difference. Young people think outside the box. Don't be scared. It is an aging industry, the estate agency world, for sure. It's full of a lot of old dinosaurs, but they've all got to go at some point. And that's and I'll class myself as a dinosaur coming through. But luckily I'm quite technology savvy and I still have a young head on me. But just impress them, come out and do something different. That's what people want to see now. You don't have to have the degrees, and A stars and all the exams and everything. As long as you've got the basics and you've got the confidence, you can really show the passion, get your personality across, then a good estate agent will give you a job.
Touching on what you said there about the degree and qualifications, I personally didn't go to uni. My mum still hates it. I did too much drinking at my A-levels and didn't get in. But I've done well for myself. My mum, she's had a business 30 years now. She left school with no qualifications. And I think for me, there's too much pressure at schools to make people go down the university route or to the further, like A-levels, further education. But in reality, if you've got those people skills, and you can talk to people and you've got a good head on your shoulders, I think that's more valuable than an education. Don't get me wrong, you're going to be a doctor, then fair enough. But in roles where it's about people and just being able to build relationships, I think the education isn't really as important. It's about the life skills and the life lessons that you've kind of picked up along the way that can benefit you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously all depends on the roles, like you say. If you're going to go into medical, engineering, etc., then you've got to go through the relevant qualifications. But I agree. Where in industry you don't need it for, altogether. And I totally echo that. If you've got the right personality, the right confidence, and common sense, then you will do well in life. It doesn't matter what people say to you. And I think this lockdown's proven it. A lot of people have tried to put people down during this lockdown. It's been tough for a lot of people. And you've had people who get a kick out of putting other people down. You've just got to tell them to do one and really set your goals and go and get it. And you will. And I think the difference is a lot of people, it's like for mental, it's okay to say you're not okay. It's okay to ask for help as well. Not just on your own state, but in work-wise. Just say to me, look, I'm thinking of having a career change, thinking of doing this, what do you think? And people will give you that time. Decent people will give you that time. I'll have it. I'll ring around, my contacts and I'll go, I just want to pick your brains on something just for a second opinion, totally away from our industry, just to see what it sounds like and listen to other opinions. And that's part of the success. It's being able to have good conversations and also with competitors. I'll speak to various competitors that I get on well with, and we will share tips and what's been going on and not lie about it. There's others that you'll speak to and they give you the same answer that they give you every other week, and it's like, if you were doing really that well, then why are you shutting down your branches? It's, they forget that the outside world can see in sometimes.
I think if you can build relationships with your competitors and you can share advice, guidance, you can help each other out, I think it's testament to you as the leader of that business. And we see this in our industry, John. If we go to networking events or wherever and you meet another recruiter, it literally is like, stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you. Whereas for me, they're the people I want to talk to because I want to know if they're having such a frustrating time as I am with temps, for example, not turning up for work or whatever it might be, because those people understand what you're going through. And for me, I think that's absolutely fantastic that you are prepared to do that. There's enough business for everyone at the end of the day. No business realistically are going to take 100% of the market. So why not help other people along the way on their journey? And then for me, what goes around comes around.
Absolutely, like you said, there's enough out there for everyone, you know, and that's the big thing to remember. And there's also, I'll take this on another angle. I want to speak to them because if I'm speaking to a business owner, they might be getting to a point they want to sell their company, you know, and it could be a great acquisition to get a hold of. Someone working for a company might not be happy and they want to vent their anger, but they could be a great salesperson or administration person or whatever the role that may be. I could go, great, I could fit you straight into this company and you'll do really well, you know, and that's why you always want to be speaking to people. They're not just going to can't speak to you, you know, you're a competitor, you know, and that's it. And you also want to know what people are up to sometimes, but I'm a big believer if you concentrate on what you're doing and your own company's doing and let everyone else worry about you. Because by the time they've worried about you, you've already taken most of their business.
So you touched at the beginning that you've been in the West Mids for 11 years now?
11 years.
11 years. So obviously there's got to be something that you love about the region. So we need to pick your brains about what that is.
Caught on the spot here, aren't I? No, listen, I think when I came to Birmingham, it was very interesting. It didn't have a great vibe 11 years ago. And I always think Birmingham's struggled to find its own identity. And a lot of Brummies will say the same. You know, if we take Newcastle, every Geordie you meet around the world wants to go home, is very proud of where you're from. Mancunians are the same, love Manchester, you know, and that's the way it is. And Birmingham's never really had that real drive on it. But over the years, it's changed. You know, we've had a lot of new development come through, and I think it's opened up a big international market that's come through, and that's allowed the city to really develop. And look, you know, there's more canals in Venice. And when you actually get out in the city and you're walking around the canals and you can get out, it's absolutely spectacular. And I think it's great that you can have within, you know, a couple of minutes, it feels like you could be out in the country as soon as you get out the other side of the motorway. And it can really change. And I think a lot of the new developments that are coming through, yes, I can tell you now, people watching this will go, they're awful. And some shouldn't have gone ahead. I agree, but there's new ones coming through that are more like villages. You know, are all about the owner occupiers or the occupiers of the property to make sure that they've got a great living experience within the city centre. But also, look, within an hour and 24 minutes, I can be in London. You know, you've got a great international airport on the doorstep as well, flying obviously to many international locations now. And I think they're the big changes that are starting to happen. You know, you've got the QE hospital, you know, it's being featured all over the TV, showing, you know, all the amazing, you know, operations and everything that they're doing there. And of course, that's beneficial for all the students coming through, that they have all this. And I think that's the big difference with Birmingham, is you might not see it from the outside as much, but once you're inside it, you start to realise the passion that people do have for, you know, for the city coming forward now. And I think the next sort of 5 to 10 years is going to be really exciting for Birmingham and the West Midlands more than anything else.
And that's what we're seeing as well. And I'm excited to be down in the region now. And I've only been down here 10 weeks now, but I absolutely love it. I think once lockdown's over, I'll love it more. But everyone's so friendly and welcoming. And I've actually been, I think because I'm a Geordie, I think we're the most friendly people on the planet. So I think leaving Newcastle, I didn't think I was going to meet anyone as friendly as what we are. But I have, and it's been great. And I'm loving my experience down here at the moment. So what's next then? What can we see coming? What should we be looking out for when both Barris and Forrester and Stripe homes?
Well, once Christmas is out the way, because that's
world domination.
Yeah, world domination. I don't want to be that big. It's that'd be too stressful. No, look, great question. For Barris and Forrester, very simple. We're going to open up 2 more branches next year across the West Midlands. So we'll be recruiting around about 10 to 15 new staff. You know, all together, so that you know, we're really on a great drive. We also want to acquire at least probably 2 more companies, which will help with our expansion plans as well. So they're really exciting, and really just, you know, become one of the main agents within the West Midlands itself. We've sort of sat under the radar for quite a while, and everyone's really seen us just jump dramatically. Now it's just about getting it all, tweaking all the things that we do right and just making them even better, for people. For Stripe Homes, we will, next year we will deliver just shy of 200 units as well. So very exciting times. And we'll have another 100 in the pipeline altogether. Again, Stripe will have 2 new offices. We're going to build our own here in Birmingham, or within the Midlands, I should say, rather than Birmingham. It's likely to be outside the city centre. And our Stripe office will be right in the heart of Newcastle city centre that we're building currently as well. And again, we will have a massive recruitment drive from there. And Stripe wants to, be delivering around about 100 units on a yearly basis, which is nice and comfortable for us, easy to control, and allows our personality and quality to shine through the properties that we develop and sell to occupiers like yourself.
You're making us proud to be a Geordie listening to you, James. But what we'll do is when we share this across social media, we'll mention as well about the acquisitions and the acquisitions that you're looking for, and also the new offices for people who are interested in joining you as well. And fingers crossed, it all works out. I'm sure it will with everything that
will always work out.
It will. And with the 2020, it sounds like you've had. I have every confidence in you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's to come next year, James.
No, listen, I think, look, it's been tough for a lot of people. Even though we've had a great year, it's been tough on myself personally. But I'm really looking forward to 2021. Yes, I think the first quarter is going to be very much the same of what we're going through now. We've just found out we're in tier 3 anyway. Still, no big surprise. For us over for Christmas, but I think it's just about adapting, and I think, look, it's earlier this year, it was interesting, March, a bit of fun, lockdown, you sort of, everyone had time off to get drunk, sort of having your first Zoom call at 11 o'clock with a glass of wine, but you had to adapt as business owners. You have to adapt very quick, and realize that this is not a game, it's people's livelihoods, and push forward. I think what we've then seen is people sort of coming into August, September are still in March mode. And it's like, look, the people who are going to really benefit from this are the ones who are really working, getting everything set up to push forward. And that's what needs to be seen. So as soon as, next year arrives, we're going to be very similar, but people want to start pushing forward and driving forward, I should be saying, and really getting stuck in. And I think after Easter, that's where we're going to see the big difference. People, unfortunately, either get left behind or they're going to flourish. And I certainly want, as I hope for you guys as well, is that we flourish, for the rest of 2020.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to coming to the box at St. James's.
Definitely got an invite. Certainly got an invite.
Excellent. Well, James, thank you. That's been amazing. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon and finding out about what's been going on.
No, fantastic. I hope you have a great Christmas and New Year, guys.
You too, James. Thanks.
See you later.